Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Want to bet? Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond and March Madness is on deck. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code at the bottom of the screen. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Good evening, Oilers fans. Welcome back to Game Over Edmonton. Seems like I was doing this a little bit earlier today, but that's all right. We're still live coming at you after this Jets-Oilers game, and it's just a beautiful 6-3 drubbing by the Edmonton Oilers. Starting off, I mean, this is what happens when you buy at the deadline, right? You look at a Jets team where they made a couple of minor trades. I think they got some good value out of especially the Nito Niederreiter trade, but at the same time, the Oilers made big moves. Mattias Ekholm. Nick Bjugstad didn't even play this game yet. I'm waiting for this team to absolutely pop off, and so far, the 2 games that Ekholm has played in, he's looked fantastic. Honestly, this defensive core was the issue. We knew going into it, Edmonton had problems keeping the puck out of their own end, and by God, somehow adding one Swedish Viking has completely changed this Oilers team. You can see it very clearly, like in the beginning of the game, they were just able to get sticks into lanes, deny zone entries. It's a beautiful way to play the game, and it really limited the Winnipeg Jets' chances. Let's be honest, the Jets weren't always a firepower. You know, they didn't have that huge amount of scoring talent. They relied on winning 1 or 2 goal games, and Connor Hellebuck playing like a superhuman. Good to see some names back again. MGD, Wise, Kyle. You're right, I am doing this one alone today. Last minute. Seems like Zach and Avery were able to connect over at the Oilers game tonight. They both took in the game live at Rogers Place. Didn't get an invite. Little old me. I have to carry the show myself. And if you didn't know, we did do a full 2-hour Game Over trade deadline earlier today. You can catch it on YouTube, your favorite podcast provider of choice. It was super fun. We had hosts from all 7 Canadian markets plugging in, hosted by Audie James, did a fantastic job, produced by the wonderful Robert Malloy. Just a fantastic event. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, go check it out. We had segments for each and every one of our markets. It was fantastic. Avery was with me for the Edmonton segment. We had some fun dicing each other up, especially when Audie had to essentially host with just the 2 of us. There's nothing like it. The Oilers are a legitimate buyer, and this trade deadline, I think we got to give Ken Holland props. Kenny Money, he made some fantastic decisions on who to bring in. A lot of us wanted Carlson. That was a little far-fetched, of course. Chychrun would have been a good alternative. Heavy on the puck moving, maybe not so much on the physicality. But Mattias Ekholm, couple more years on his contract, looks fantastic, big, physical Swedish Viking, and can still make a good pass out of the zone, carry it out of the zone, pinch in deep, make offensive chances. And let's talk about that Ken Holland math. The 4% retention on Mattias Ekholm, one of the few multi-year retentions that this league has seen, it gave him just enough money for Nick Bjugstad. Just enough at a 50% retained. Now, I know some of us are lamenting the loss of Michael Kesselring. Great prospect. Could have seen him play a couple of games for the Oilers, but it wouldn't have happened in the next 2 years or so. A lot of us are sad to see Tyson Barrie go. Tyson Barrie, the power play merchant. Well, As we can see tonight, power play still did pretty well without him. It's tough. Like, you love Tyson Barrie in the community. He really popped off with the Oilers. A lot of points, well liked in the room. But you got to make room for new guys. And $4.5 million for Tyson Barrie, maybe not the most stalwart defender. He had to go. Jesse Puljujarvi, $3 million. Kind of tough. Had to let him go. But I think Ken Holland did a good job of that too. Lots of people were saying you'd have to give a little sweetener for Puljujarvi to go. Maybe send him on waivers and a team will just take him. That $3 million cap hit, it's a tough one to swallow. But we got a guy, prospect, sure, he's still in Finland. Maybe he won't be signed this summer and we'll just let him go away. But at least we got something out of it. Hater McDader, good to see you back. When Kane comes back, the Oilers should be unstoppable. You're right. I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. We have a pretty chipped up lineup. Obviously, there's some guys that are not expected to play again. Ryan Murray, how many people still remember that he's technically on this team? But Winnipeg Jets tonight, they were also pretty diced up. They've been on a pretty significant skid because of it. It's no excuse. Both teams have key guys missing out of their lineups, and the Oilers, they still came out on top. Of course, it's not a perfect performance. It seems like the Edmonton Oilers, they can't give shutouts to their goalies. No goalie is able to get a shutout this year. Stuart Skinner played well when he had to. Wasn't a lot of shots early on, 6 shots in the entire first period, 9 shots on the second period. He didn't get a lot of testing, but when he had to come up, he did. When Hellebuck got tested, it's hard to say. Hellebuck is still a legitimate star goalie, right? Hellebuck is still this world beater goalie. Well, it sure didn't seem like it when the Oilers shelled him for 24 shots in the first 2 periods combining for a total of 4 goals and a couple of beautiful goals by Kailer Yamamoto. Something happened with Kailer Yamamoto when he got hit in the Toronto game with Justin Hall. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. He suddenly saw that, hey, even if I get into some sticky situations, a guy like Nuge, enforcer Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, is going to come up and protect me. It's still nutty to think that this Kailer Yamamoto is the same one that's been playing this entire season on and off with injury. He potted 2 beautiful goals tonight. The first one, just wonderful hands. How many times have we seen Yamamoto try and feed that around a goalie just to go wide of the net? The second time, a loose puck that just kind of popped out on a really weird Shore Costin Kulak push. I don't know why our defensemen are up there, but it worked. Yamamoto came in, slapped that puck right into the net. And you can see that on a night when there were some records that might have been broken, some NHL 6 multi-point game goals, Connor McDavid doesn't care. Connor McDavid wants to win games. And if he gets a goal, great. If he gets 2 goals, great. If he gets no goals tonight and we still get the win, that's all he really cares for. Later on in the game, you could see when Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had 2 goals, Kailer Yamamoto had 2 goals. Connor wasn't shooting the puck. He was going to see if he could feed a pass through. And Leon Draisaitl had 2 goals too. We had 3 hat trick watches. Nothing going, unfortunately, but hey, them's the breaks. Starting off early, I mean, this power play is still lethal. Bouchard was fantastic. Leon Draisaitl made it count so early into the game. On that first power play, Bouchard was able to hold the zone, something that Tyson Barrie did pretty well. Maybe when you have a young guy that's able to watch a veteran D-man do his thing, you can learn a thing or two. Hyman, of course, was causing chaos in front. Nugent-Hopkins this season seems like he has eyes on the back of his head. Found Draisaitl with a nifty little dish, and bing, bang, boom. He puts it right in. looks like we have a couple of chatters. Dylan, good to see you. It was good to see you on the afternoon stream. You're right. The boys played with some fire tonight. I would have liked to see them play the whole game with that same intensity. They did let up in the third period. In terms of, effort, the Jets were absolutely smothered in the first two periods, but they gave them life in the third. And if you're going to be playing, playoff quality hockey, you can't let guys claw into it. You can't let teams slowly get their confidence back. It's 6-3. You're right. In the end, it's a large margin, but you don't want to put yourselves into this 3-goal margin. Suddenly, maybe they chip another one in. It's 2 goals. It gives them back that confidence. Maybe the Oilers still remember big save Dave Riddick, who came in relief of Connor Hellebuck in the third period. They wanted to get the game back to like a 6-4 so that Riddick can hold the L. I don't know. Either way, Riddick was abhorrent. None of the goaltenders tonight had over 900 save percentages. It wasn't a pretty affair by the end of it. And you can see even the players started to get a little pissed off at the end of it. Guys were taking penalties when they didn't have to. I mean, Dylan, Stanley, the one dude that has an incredibly long last name that I cannot remember, Mainainen, something like that. They were chipping away. I mean, Winnipeg tried to get themselves back into this game, and the Oilers, they tried to push back a little bit physically, but they were disciplined enough to not take too many penalties. I love seeing Shore jump in. It was a dirty behind the back sort of hit right into the numbers, sent Derek Ryan into the boards. Messy stuff. You don't want players to get hurt in the end. But I was happy to see Devon Shore. He wasn't going to throw punches, but he walked up there and gripped a guy. Like, hey, you're not going to mess up my teammate like that. Just to give him a little shake, take him out of the game, bring those heated elements down a little bit. Funny stat from MGD. Only Costin and Ceci tonight didn't have any time on ice on the power play. Give it, what? We give the refs a lot of shit, and they were very generous tonight with the Oilers power play. Ended up going 2 for 9, but a lot of those were kind of halfy. They didn't really try hard in the latter half of the game. Even in the first little bit, there were a couple of matchup penalties, some 4-on-4 hockey for a little bit. So in the end, not full on power play time. Wise Kyle's bringing up Matthews wanting an $8 by $15 million contract. Look, we had a little discussion with Lauren from Game Over Toronto earlier today. There is the time to go for it. Edmonton, it's time to go for it. Toronto, it's time to go for it. If you see Toronto having to re-sign guys, I mean, Nylander's up, I think, for an extension this summer. Matthews, obviously, that's another thing they have to get done. They're going to want to get paid. And it's going to be the same thing here with Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Draisaitl has an $8 million contract right now. Give Chiarelli his applause, right? Chiarelli signed that 8 by 8 contract for Draisaitl, and it looks amazing right now. Prior to, I guess, other than Nathan McKinnon in his old deal, that's one of the best value contracts. Hater Mediator, stew or soup tomorrow. Well, Stuart Skinner played great tonight. I still think Stuart Skinner's the number one goalie, but it's a back-to-back. It's gotta be soup tomorrow. I don't know who's starting for the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow. Honestly, Riddick played horribly. They rested Hellebuck for an extra period, that third period. I'm hoping that it's going to be Hellebuck and Soup, because let's be honest, Soup needs to get going here. It's so tight right now. The standings, Seattle won tonight, so we're tied at 76 points again. Edmonton sitting in that wild card 1 spot. But you still got to get Soup running. You can't play Stu every single game from here on till the playoffs and then expect Stu to be the number one goaltender for 16 games or more in the playoffs, right? Stu played pretty well. All the goals were pretty much high danger chances. You're right. That's Tyler Thoreau. I think that's a new name. Thank you so much for coming into the chat. I'm hosting on solo today. Usually we got a couple of co-hosts. Avery's on, Zach is on, but they are at the game tonight. So thank you very much for coming in. Yeah, they just gave up a lot of bad chances late into the game. Johnson Fialbi, whoever that person was, he got a great golden opportunity off a puck that just bounced around. Stuart Skinner had nothing on it. To be honest, I wouldn't really make that a fault for Stuart Skinner tonight. Second one was off a power play, I believe. Scheifele just scored off a very lazy Vincent Desharnais clear. I mean, you got to give them credit. Winnipeg is a team that's also in the wild card race. They are good. If you give them chances, if you make enough mistakes, they will come back and potentially win a game. Third one, Yamamoto just kind of glided in. I think that's the only time when I had anything negative to say about Yamamoto tonight. Yamamoto did great ever since that hit. Like I said, he's been playing like a madman. He's got that dog in him, much like the first year that he was here in Edmonton. But on that one, I get it. It's a 6-2 game. Try to glide in, be a little bit lazy. It's just about playing to the whistle now. We've had 2 games after the major trade of Ekholm to Edmonton. The defense core is doing much better. The Oilers, as long as they play to the whistle, keep going until it's time to stop, they're going to win games. This is a very, very dangerous team. Wisecow, thank you very much for checking that for me. Nylander is a UFA this summer. Yeah, I don't want to think about a Draisaitl extension. Hopefully we win a cup by then. Maybe they just decide to do a Crosby, Malkin sort of deal. Nurse has already signed to 8 years. So if they decide to stick around, that's great. If we win a cup and they decide to play their entire careers here in Edmonton, fantastic. We can have them here. We don't even have to try and compete for cups again. As long as we get the 1, maybe 2 if we're a little greedy, that'd be fantastic. Mickinator, my dream of EK, so Erik Karlsson and PK, Patrick Kane, never happened. It was going to be a tough one either way. If you're bringing in Erik Karlsson at his contract numbers, it's going to be hard to get retention. Patrick Kane, as soon as the Rangers were still open, his heart wasn't in Edmonton. And you know that he wouldn't re-sign here in the summer. Circling back to EK65, Erik Karlsson might be a summer acquisition still. There is still rumblings that we might circle back to Karlsson, and I don't know what we'd have to give up in that trade. If Erik Karlsson starts dropping off again, do you really want to entertain that again? It's a tough call to make. Right now, the Oilers defense looks pretty damn good. Bouchard is your power play merchant. He's paired with a really responsible guy in Ekholm. Ekholm is able to play those big physical minutes. Hopefully his mentoring of fellow Swede Philip Broberg accelerates his development. I mean, he played well tonight. He let in, he had a couple of shifts where he didn't do fantastic. Also got belted in the face right before the game ended. Played under 10 minutes of ice time, but Philip Broberg is still on this team after we have updated this roster. Nurse, CC, now that they're playing less minutes, CC looks fine. Darnell Nurse was able to be physical tonight. He was able to jump in on a couple of plays. I have no problems with them anymore. Kulak losing his partner in Barry doesn't seem like it's an issue. Vincent Desharnais, big man. I don't mind this defensive core as it is. If you bring in a Karlsson, that is fantastic. But at that same time, you're paying a lot for a guy who's aging and you maybe don't necessarily need. It's amazing to have him on the team with McDavid and Draisaitl. That'd be a fantastic acquisition in terms of marketing and star power. But even if you don't get him, that's fine for me. By the way, says Mikinator, is Ekholm known as a puck-moving defenseman? Ekholm is a little bit of a jack of all trades. He's a big guy, so he fits that physical grinding role. He's able to be a stay-at-home defenseman, block a lot of shots. But at the same time, he makes some good outlet passes. Last game against Toronto, he made a fantastic pass from his own zone over to Draisaitl, about like 100 feet out. And that led to a fantastic scoring chance, which unfortunately Yamamoto couldn't bury. But yeah, he is no slouch when it comes to moving the puck. The only knock on him is maybe his foot speed will start declining. He is 32 years old. By the time the playoffs roll around, I think he becomes 33. We'll have to see. This at least gives the Oilers a couple years of a solid defenseman, and even if the foot speed starts lacking, last year the Oilers got pretty far with a very, very old and very, very slow Duncan Keith. Ekholm, even if he starts slowing down, I don't think he'll reach that pace quite yet. He's still got a couple of good years on him. MGD, hope the cap climbs by 3 or 4 million. But I think the network in the US, yes. Bally Sports in the US, who broadcasts a lot of regional games, they are going bankrupt this year. So the cap, which was speculated to go through a huge increase after some pretty dicey COVID years, that might not happen anymore. If the cap doesn't go as high as you want, maybe you end up having to bridge and Evan Bouchard. A lot of people wanted a long extension, something along the lines of like an Oscar Klefbom, a 7-8 year extension for Bouchard. That might be tough when you don't have a lot of cap room coming up. The Oilers, as of this day, are $0 to the cap, and they have a 22. I think they have a 22 skater roster right now. So you can't you can't really make much more room. If you want slots for a spare defenseman, if you want slots for a spare forward, you're gonna be pretty tight to the cap even in this off season. DXD, lots of D's and 3. I just joined the stream. Can you give me a summary of Bjugstad? Bjugstad didn't play tonight. It looks like he's already in Edmonton. He did a little interview during the second intermission with Gene Principe. So it looks like he should be joining the team on the trip tomorrow to Winnipeg. I assume that since he's here, he has no visa issues. Nothing's really going on. He probably gets to play tomorrow. Coming from Arizona, Bjugstad was a project player. He signed 1 year in Arizona at like 950,000 or something. Yeah, some 950,000, very, very low. But that got retained as well. He's been having a pretty good season. He's recovered pretty well. He's very versatile. He played a lot of center in Arizona. I think on this team, he's probably going to be a winger. But he has that versatility. He's a right shot guy. He can be the right wing that replaces Jesse Puljujarvi. He can win you a couple of faceoffs if he's on the ice. If you need a guy who's a right shot, he can do that. And he's not being asked to be a world beater on this team, right? As long as you don't get hemmed in, as long as you don't bleed goals on the Oilers' third or fourth line, you are fine. The Oilers are also playing Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a lot. So with the 11-7, Nick Bjugstad, he might be playing with some real quality players who can back check, who can take away chances. So he should be fine. I think it's a great pickup at a great price. And Nick Bjugstad is just a reliable guy. He wants to play here as well. Like, during the intermission, he was talking to Gene Principe about the fact that he came here when he was like 7 years old or something like that, playing in the Brick Hockey Invitational in West Edmonton Mall. He talked about eating McDonald's for every meal of the day, and he just loved it. So I'm glad to have him on the team. It looks like a good character guy. Little tidbit from his Florida days. His nickname is apparently Rotisserie Chicken because he one time skipped dinner with his teammates because he was too hungry. So he decided to buy a rotisserie chicken. I love it. We already got Nuggy on this team. We already got Yams on this team. Bring in rotisserie chicken. We got the full menu on. Yes, Nick Bjugstad is American. Thank you so much. He is from Minnesota. Fantastic. It was a great pickup. And yeah, Hater McDater, Nuge. Let's shift. Let's talk about Nuggy. Huge night for Nuggy tonight. 4-point night, if I'm not mistaken. 2 goals, 2 assists. Yeah. You can see this guy do it all. He fights like last game. He can assist. He's deadly on the power play. And he can commit 5-on-5. He's a fantastic player. And you can see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He is just an all-rounder. He's able to go back and back check, break up plays. Earlier on, I think during the second period, Ekholm had a time when he was pinching. He got cut off. Nugent-Hopkins, great recognition, starts skating hard to try and break up a 2-on-1 on a back check. Little bit of a boost from Ekholm as Ekholm stuck his stick into his back, shoved him forward, giving him a little Mario Kart speed boost. Amazing stuff. Ekholm, yes, he got caught off guard, but at the same time, the IQ to boost Nugent-Hopkins, amazing play. Nugent-Hopkins himself skating that hard, breaking up a chance, amazing by Nugent-Hopkins. You're right, this guy, we kept him forever. He's our number 1 draft pick in like 2010 or something like that. The guy doesn't age. He's 30 years old and he looks like he looks the same as when he was 18. He is amazing. Plus, he took a team-friendly deal to stay as an Oiler for the rest of his life. Once this guy retires, if he's willing to stay in Edmonton, put him on the team. Like, we see Duncan Keith as a player coach or something in the development sphere on this team. Nugent-Hopkins is Mr. Oiler. He's going to be Mr. Oiler in the future. He's going to have the most games played as an Oiler. This guy, we're just going to keep him forever. Put him in management, do whatever you need, make him the GM. I don't know. If he wins a cup, 2, 3, this guy deserves it all. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is amazing. MGD will miss the Cassian chops in the playoff. You know what? Great story about Cassian. Cassian in Arizona was a cap dump earlier in the summer. Obviously, he was teammates with Bjugstad. Bjugstad, sorry. Bjugstad, I can't talk. Bjugstad. Bjugstad asked Cassian, hey, I'm going to the Edmonton Oilers. Can you tell me about it? Cassian gave a glowing review of Edmonton Oilers fans, how nutty we are in the playoffs, how loud the building is, and now Bjugstad's going to be loving it. As soon as he gets into this team, starts playing some games, we're going to show him the fantastic Oilers welcome that we can. I hope he has a fantastic time here. I hope he decides to re-sign here. Ekholm has already stated that he's going to stay in Edmonton throughout the summer. I hope Bjugstad says, hey, you know what, Minnesota, I don't need to go back. I'll stay in Edmonton. This is my home. Let's move my family here. I hope that's the final result. We get a guy that re-signs, much like a Kulak, maybe at a team-friendly deal. This team is just completely gelling together. And it doesn't matter that we lost a couple character guys. It's fine. New guys come in. They've stated how welcoming the locker room is, how welcoming the team atmosphere is, loving the passion of the fans. That's all we need. If the Oilers are able to hold guys and become a destination for new free agents to sign, it's a dream come true. I've lived in Edmonton all my life. I've watched Edmonton Oilers hockey all my life. Edmonton's never been a destination where people want to come to. They're either drafted here and decide to stay here, or they're from Alberta or some other northern cold place like Sweden, and they don't mind the temperature. They don't mind having a little bit of a quiet life unless they get noticed in public. The narrative that players don't want to play here can die, says Dylan Sparks. Yes, exactly. I'm so happy. The Oilers are obviously winning. MGD, you're right. That helps things along. Can you imagine if they win a Stanley Cup? Let's be honest. Like, Chicago is not a great place to live either. Pittsburgh's not a great place to live. They got winner too. But if you win Stanley Cups, players are going to want to go there. If you still have your strong core, players are going to be willing to take a little bit of haircut on their salary in order to stay. A couple of other things to note on this game before we wrap up for the night. The dry line, so that would be Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Yamamoto. They got connected again tonight. Obviously, when Yamamoto was first brought into the league, that line was on fire. Just tons of chemistry. Kind of broke off in the second year. We don't really know why. Tippett, when he was still the coach, wouldn't put them out together. Fans were a little irate about that. When they did get together, they didn't really seem to gel. And they didn't earlier this year either. Until last game. Again, something clicked in Yamamoto, and suddenly the dry line is amazing. There's just something with this team as well where they can roll all their guys. You can see the Edmonton Oilers lineup. Obviously, they play 11 and 7, so there's a lot of fluidity between wingers. Centers are becoming wingers. Sometimes you have multiple guys out there that just don't get a lot of ice time together normally, like Connor McDavid and Derek Ryan, but they're able to make it work. Devin Shore tonight, he looked pretty damn good. He played 10 minutes. He looked fine. Devin Shore was driving the net. I mean, Matthias Janmark still doesn't have the hands. Costin, his shooting percentage has come down a little bit. He's not scoring at the pace that he was. But again, as long as you're not getting hemmed in, as long as you're not getting absolutely flooded when you're on the ice, you've done your job as a third and fourth liner on the Edmonton Oilers. MGD, thank you so much. Yeah, 50 people watching, 20 likes. Give me a little prop here. I'm doing this all on my own. Who gets scratched once Kane comes back? Derek Ryan, Bjugstad, Janmark. Obviously, I think Shore is going to have to go down. A lot of guys are going to have to go on the waiver wire. Kane's cap hit, it's not easy to fit in. It's like a 4 or 5. So some guys are going to have to go to Bakersfield. I personally don't think Janmark is contributing that much. I would take him out of the lineup. Devin Shore has already been down to Bakersfield. He can make the trip again. No one will claim him. And lastly, I think, you know what? As much as it pains me, you might have to take out noted goal scorer Derek Ryan, because you're not going to get rid of Bjugstad. You brought in Bjugstad for this playoff push. You're not getting rid of him. It would be the same thing as what we did last year with Derek Brassard. My opinion is that last year we were lacking in goaltending and defense versus the Avs. This year, I don't think the story would be the same. We are taking good steps towards winning the cup. XXXD. Yeah, you know, that's been the narrative. The Oilers know how to score. We just don't know how to defend. Goaltending, if we can get Soup to be on the same level as Stuart Skinner, or at least just average. I think save percentage in the NHL this year is .905. If we can get a .905 out of him, the Oilers will outscore their problems, no problem. I wonder if it'd be Shore and Janmark with Kane and Bjugstad. Yeah, I think Shore and Janmark will probably be the ones that are going down. Great job. Thank you so much, Mickinator. I love it. 93 is going to go into the rafters 100%. I think at least he's going to get the Ryan Smith treatment if he doesn't win a cup. I'm hoping we win a couple of cups so that this entire first line can go up there. Throw Bouchard up there. Throw Draisaitl up there. Throw, I don't know, Dylan Holloway. If he starts potting in a bunch of goals in year 2, year 3, throw him onto the rafters. If we're able to make 2 or 3 cups in 5 or 6 attempts, that's rafter worthy, honestly. We can keep Nuge forever. I will be happy no matter what role he has after retirement. Yeah, he could be the Oiler that's in charge of raising racehorses. Maybe OEG will start doing racehorses down the line. He seems like he loves it in BC when he's with his horses. Whatever role it is, Nuge is an Oiler for life. He's definitely going to be part of this core until he decides to retire. No one's going to pull like a Jonathan Quick in LA. It's going to be fantastic. MGD, I finally got my Game Over coffee cups and stickers for Edmonton. Looks great. You know what? These are fantastic cups, fantastic stickers I have on the wall in front of me. And if you got it, if you got the cash, Game Over hoodies. It's a champion hoodie, my favorite hoodie. You guys have seen me wear a gray hoodie multiple times on this stream. Fantastic merch, highly recommended. Thank you so much for supporting the stream, and thank you so much for watching the stream tonight, guys. We are going a little bit longer already. 49 watching live, 24 likes. Love it if we can get a little bit higher on there. Let's set a like goal. We haven't set a like goal tonight. Let's go for a solid 40. You know what? Let's do a solid 40. Kane against the cap. Yeah, Kane's against the cap right now. He's at 5.125. Thank you so much. Yeah, Kane is going to be a tough one. We're going to have to send a couple of guys. Shore was already put on waivers. You're right, MGD. So we can just pop him back down there again. If we decide not to have 7 defensemen, which I think is the wrong choice, we should definitely keep the 11 and 7 going at all times. But Desharnais is technically someone who is waiver exempt, so you could send him down. Wait, no, is Desharnais waiver exempt? No, he's old. I don't think you can send him down. You could send down Broberg. I think Broberg's playing well enough. You don't have to send him down. The one consideration is if you wanted him to get a lot of experience, Broberg could go down to the Bakersfield Condors, play in their postseason for a little bit, at least wrap out their season going 20-something minutes. That might be something that's worth a look through. But honestly, if I'm the coach here and if I'm the GM, I'm saying, you know what? Ekholm was brought in to mentor Broberg. Let's keep Broberg up here. Maybe we don't play him a lot. Maybe we keep him at like 8 to 10 minutes ice time. That's fine. Oh, Travis, thank you so much for correcting. Yes, Kane is still on the record. He is not on LTIR, so we are cap compliant. Everything is fine. We can have a full healthy roster and we're good to go. No one has to go on waivers. Thank you, Wise Kyle. Yes, I forgot he got taken off of LTIR, re-injured. He is fine. There is no need. Kenny Holland masterclass. He absolutely calculated everything to the cap. Look at this man. Look at this beautiful man. Last week, we would have said that, you know what, if he didn't make a move, we got to fire the GM. And suddenly, Oil Country is perfect. No more revisions needed. Yeah, Broberg is exempt. Thank you very much, MGD. It is an amazing thing that this Oilers team is able to fix their defense with just one addition. Nick Bjugstad, again, he's a reliable defensive sort of two-way player as well, so I don't think he would be an issue if you inject him into the lineup. This team is perfect now. If we can get our goaltending better. If we can fix Soup's record, that's the last thing that we need to do. But even if we can't, you know what? Stuart Skinner has proven that he's able to live up to the workload. He had a huge workload when he was with the Bakersfield Condors going through their playoff pushes. NHL's a different beast, but barring any sort of injury in the playoffs, and my 06 Cup run brain starts firing, the neurons start activating when I talk about a goalie getting injured in the postseason. Barring anything like that, we are absolutely fine. we can rely on Stuart Skinner as our number one goaltender. And if Jack Campbell is able to fix his game, that's fantastic too. I've been going 40 minutes. My throat is a little bit dry, so I'm going to call it here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It looks like Kane is day-to-day. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of buzz here. Sounds like Evander Kane will travel with the team, so it seems like it should be a pretty quick recovery. Nick Bjugstad should play tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, it is a 5 p.m. Mountain Time puck drop against the Jets again, this time in Winnipeg. Avery will have the post-game show. That's it for me tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Love you guys. If you haven't had time to check it out yet, check out Game Over Trade Deadline. We put a lot of work into it. A lot of hours went into it. It's a perfect production in my mind. No technical issues whatsoever because we had the expert Rob, producer Rob, managing the show. Definitely worth a watch tonight. It's a little bit long. If you want to watch it spaced out over the weekend, I don't mind. If you want to skip to just the Edmonton segments, I don't mind that either. There is a Leaf segment, so maybe you want to skip over that one. But thank you so much for a fantastic night. My name is Dennis. You can follow me on Twitter at DennisLeeYEG. Avery will have the call tomorrow. Follow him at Avery on Twitter. He will have that link for you for tomorrow night's Game Over. And follow our third host at ZWheel, WHEEL 97. Zach, Avery, and I are so thankful to have you guys with us every night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And until next time, play La Bamba, baby! Good night!
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.